Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. Okay, well, let's dive into your first photo. It's audio, so people don't sense this, but reading between the lines, just a little bit that we're talking, and looking at your expression and the environment, the setting that you're in, it's communicating certain things. And am I the first person to ever say that you're a sensitive soul?
No. So, no, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, I get the feeling. Okay. So let's go jump into the first photo. Again, I don't see the photos, so I it's a surprise. So what did you send me? Okay. So it's a photograph of somebody on a dirt road where the dirt road is leading through these open gates, which were probably like a cattle pasture or something. Like the gates, it's that kind of the gate itself is metallic, so maybe it's horse or maybe it's cattle, and there's wooden fencing, and behind there's like an old wooden barn with what looks like maybe some tin or metallic roofing that's quite rusted, or I guess copper or something. And then there's also shingle on the taller barn, I guess. Yeah, so walk us through what's the significance of this image?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, I grew up, all my ancestors are from Finland, and they immigrated to the United States and were cattle farmers. And so, all sets of my great grandparents settled and had farms. And so, my grandparents grew up on farms. My parents grew up and would help with the farms. And then by the time my parents grew up, they were the first to go to college. And
Mm-hmm.
I never had that farming experience, but the old broken down barns were on the properties where I would visit. And so it was just always nostalgic. And even though I never saw the farms working, it felt like
Mm.
this visceral experience to imagine and see the photos, like we're talking about photography of a day to day life, like
Mm-hmm.
waking up with the sun and working hard all day, every day.
What part of the world is that?
So I'm in northern Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay.
Yep. So it's if you picture Lake Superior, the largest freshwater lake on the planet, it's about an hour north of there,
Okay.
where all my great grandparents settled. And apparently, and I know this from visiting there, the landscape is a lot like Finland. So they
Okay.
say a lot of immigrants from Finland settled here because
It felt
it felt
familiar.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this particular photograph, it's shot. There's a bit of cloud cover, but there is sun, so it's a quite high contrast, dramatic. It looks like it. Well, there's grass on the ground, but the trees don't have full on leaves. So is this spring? It's probably spring. Are you quite familiar with this particular farm? Is this like a
No, that just evokes something in me. And so here's the where the juxtaposition is although I appreciate everything about the farming life, I also was it felt like I wanted to get out and I wanted to do these creative
mm-hmm,
endeavors like writing,
right?
and I really love film and theater, and none of my family ever got to do that, and
Mm-hmm.
even if they wanted to, so it felt like a sense of being stuck.
Okay.
And so it was like, am I going to follow in the footsteps of my ancestors, which was fair, or can I accomplish my dreams? And I feel like we're
Ah,
in that generation where now we are able to pursue these creative endeavors where previous generations may not have been able to.
so did you go away for university? Did you go away for school or?
Yeah. So I went and I actually majored in theater, and
Oh,
then I got my master's in communicating arts.
oh
And
wow.
so it was it was that feeling of I get this opportunity to do this, and
Right,
so I'm thankful every day.
right. So I think it's not an uncommon theme of the person who kind of grows up in a very rural space, who dreams of self-fulfillment by going to the big city and pursuing their creative path or technical path or whatever path. It's the idea of I have to get away from the farm, right? So how real was that feeling inside you?
Yeah, absolutely 100% real. I thought about it every day,
Oh, wow.
and I don't know why, but it felt like I felt guilty almost for being able to do things that maybe other people, previous generations weren't allowed to or able to, and so
Mm,
I felt like, well, is this selfish because I'm having fun
right,
and doing something creative instead of working with my hands and cooking all day like my
right,
great grandmothers did.
right,
So I still I still cook and clean and all that, but it's yeah, it was definitely that feeling of, is this selfish? And
right.
so the community I grew up in, it was, I graduated in a class of 30
Okay.
total,
Oh,
for
wow.
my senior class, K through 12 school, and it was a really small, tight knit community,
Yeah,
and loved it there, but also longed for more.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so my first degree was in creative writing, and I was full on science, physics, chemistry, that kind of stuff. But then I had my first course, which was in the short story. And the professor, well, it was a college, so the sort of the professor who came in, he taught theater at the university, and he read a story, and I don't know if there's a connection, but from Anton Chekhov, Russian doctor who was a gifted, super gifted writer, and he read this story called Heartache or something. To whom shall I tell my sorrow? And when he was done reading, people were actually crying in the classroom. And then when that feeling was evoked, I was like, okay, hold on. So I dropped out of sciences and I went into creative arts. And so you said you went into theater and you're also into writing. Well, why don't you talk about that whole idea of the room of your own and also just diving into that sea of creativity to kind of find yourself, but also communicate to others?
Yeah, so ever since I was little, I was really shy. And I guess I still am shy to a point, but I learned through theater and speech, which it's a competitive thing in Minnesota. Anyway, I learned that I had a voice. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was writing speeches and then performing in plays. And it was a way to show myself outside of myself. And it felt less vulnerable to
Mm-hmm.
be in a performing
Sure.
space. And then I learned I loved researching and I loved writing, and just kept pursuing that. And at the same time, my dad was a science teacher and my mom was a nurse, and I
Mm.
felt like, well, should I be doing
Right.
one of these other paths, because it's not necessarily practical to major in theater,
Right.
but I loved it and I was happy, and I still am super thankful that I did that. And so it was this outlet that allowed me to become, I think, the best version of myself.
Right. Okay. Well, now, so I don't know I don't know how explicitly you're going to go into. Okay. So the reason why I met you was because you're an author.
Yes.
So is it that you've recently completed a book and you want to promote it, or is it that you have a series of books? Like where are you in your career journey,
Yeah.
whatever evolution as a writer?
So currently working on my sixth book with
Oh,
my
wow.
co-author. Our fifth book is coming out in the fall,
Oh,
and
wow.
so our the other photos that we'll get to, I won't spoil anything, but it'll definitely explain what I write about and why I write about it.
Okay, 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 okay. Fantastic. Okay, well, do you want to use that as the segue to the next photo?
I would say so. Yes.
And yeah, you're great. You're natural. I also, wait, before we do that, I want to say a couple of things. I immediately get a sense of your aesthetic expression, and your nails are full on perfect. I love the cut.
Thank
So,
you.
so people can understand. Each finger is a different color. Yeah,
Yes.
I love it.
And if the reason they're painted this way, one of my favorite movies that came out in 2020 was a movie called Promising Young Woman, and she paints her nails like this
Ah,
in the movie, and I just have to keep doing it because
I
I get
love
so
it.
many compliments. How can I
Yeah,
go back?
yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Okay, let's go to the next photo. So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.